Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy Ashton. I'm with the Nicholas Institute for Environmental Policy Solutions at Duke University. I'm joined by Lydia Olander, who is director of our Ecosystem Services program. I'm also here with Katie Warnell, who is a policy associate in the Ecosystem Services program. We're here to talk about North Carolina's new action plan for natural and working lands, forests, farms, wetlands, coastal habitats. The plan is part of the state's efforts to address both the causes and effects of climate change. So, Lydia, let's start with you. Broadly speaking, how do these lands help the state meet its climate and resilience goals?
Well, first, I just want to note how important natural and working lands are to the state of North Carolina. Forestry, agriculture, fisheries, and tourism together make up about 20% of North Carolina's economy. And natural and working lands habitats like forests, floodplains, wetlands, and coastal salt marsh can help meet the governor's goal of making North Carolina more resistant to increasing storms. Inland, they can reduce local flooding and pollutant releases. And on the coast, they can reduce coastal storm surge, flooding, and saltwater intrusion, which are all increasingly important in the face of sea level rise. These habitats can also help the state reach the governor's goals of reducing net carbon emissions because they can store and sequester significant amounts of carbon.
So, to support the plan, the Nicholas Institute has used publicly available data to develop an interactive tool called a story map. Katie, can you give us a preview of the map?
Sure. So we developed this story map to show where in North Carolina many of the recommendations in the action plan could be implemented on the ground. These recommendations include actions that can help to maintain and enhance the natural and working lands that we have in the state, such as reforestation. So besides showing where these actions could take place, a lot of the maps are focused on looking at additional benefits that we could get from these actions. So thinking beyond just carbon benefits to things like enhancing community resilience to flooding, protecting the quality of our drinking water supplies, and enhancing air quality in urban areas. And all of these maps are interactive, so users are able to zoom in and to pan around to look at the areas of the state that are most of interest to them.
That's very cool. And how do you see the map being used?
I see the story map as a great way to introduce users to thinking about what opportunities we have in North Carolina for natural and working land management to benefit both carbon and resilience. For people who are involved in land management or conservation, the maps can be a great way to start thinking about which actions make most sense in the areas where you work. And all of the data that are shown in these maps are available for download. So anyone who would like to take a closer look is able to actually access these data. You can also overlay additional local data sets if you have those.
Let's dig a little deeper into the map. One of the things that really stands out is forests cover a tremendous amount of North Carolina. Lydia, why are they so important to the action plan?
Yeah, well, forests cover 42% of our state's land, and they contribute over 30 billion to our economy annually. Given their scale, they're clearly going to be the largest opportunity we have for both resilience and carbon in the state. So I'm going to dig into an example here. Natural and working lands like floodplains and wetlands can help make North Carolina communities more resilient to storms. When those habitats are upstream of communities, they have the ability to hold more water on the landscape, which can reduce flooding and reduce release of pollutants that get flooded from point sources like wastewater treatment facilities, Superfund sites, and hog lagoons. And in addition to this, if we conserve and sustain these floodplain and wetland forests, they can avoid release of greenhouse gases equivalent to North Carolina's total greenhouse gas emissions for 8 years. So protecting these forests that protect these communities, that those forests make up about 13% of unprotected forests in the state, which is about 1 million acres. So as you can see, forests are likely to be a central component of any strategy to achieve climate and resilience goals for North Carolina.
As a coastal state, North Carolina also has a couple 100,000 acres of salt marsh. Katie, what role can this habitat have in responding to climate change?
Well, first of all, salt marshes store a lot of carbon in the sediment below the marsh. We've estimated that in North Carolina, our salt marshes are currently storing about 61 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. The marshes are also really important for providing protection to coastal areas from storms. In North Carolina, we've identified areas of salt marsh that are important for protecting populated areas, key natural areas, as well as historic sites. However, our marshes are being threatened by stressors, including water quality issues and sea level rise. So we can take steps now to make sure that these marshes and all the benefits that they provide will be able to persist into the future. through enhancing water quality and making sure that there are areas available for marshes to move upland with sea level rise if that becomes necessary.
Lydia and Katie, thank you both for your time. For those of you watching, we encourage you to check out the story map. You can find it at bit.ly/NWL story map. That's bit.ly/NWL story map.